Shalom Aleichem, sweetest friends. Welcome to another presentation of the Yeshiva Gedola de Skype. I thank once again the sponsors, those who allow us to continue. Couldn't do it without you. And I'd like to dedicate this shir in the memory of, first of all, a Torah giant, Rav Aaron Lichtenstein Zatzal, who was nifter recently. And although I didn't merit personally to be in his yeshiva and learn from him directly, but I benefited from his many published articles, and there are thousands of Jews who learn Torah from him. So I have a special ava and chiba for anybody who teaches Torah to Klal Yisrael, especially in the way he did, and the great dimensions, and all over the world, and Kol Chelkei HaTorah. He saw his Avos Torah and his Smadas HaTorah. So it's a schus to devote this shir to his, dedicate the shir to his memory. And L'hibadu ben Chaim L'chaim, to my very beloved friend, Harav Rabbi Shmuel ben Yamin ben Tishna Rachel Leah, hu v'chol mishpachto, sheyeh l'schusam, and for Baruch v'atzlacha b'chol ma'aseh yadeh, Tisheni Chana bas Malka, Kadosh Baruch Hu imale kol mishalos liva l'toiva. We're going to be learning in Mitzvah Hashem a little Sfas Parshas Emor, Tov Reish Lamed Zayin. I always tell people that if I'm ever on a deserted island and I can only bring one book with me, what book would I bring? I'd bring a book that tells me how to get off a deserted island when you're stuck. Remember Gilligan's Island? They were stuck there. That's so funny. So, but if I had to bring a second book, because in the meantime, while I'm waiting for them to pick me up after the first book tells me to get off the deserted island, it would be a Sfas. So one of my greatest pleasures in this world is sharing a Sfas with a greater audience. And you're the greatest audience. Torah says, V'nikdashti b'soich b'nei Yisrael. Sanctify me b'toch, b'soch, b'och, b'lo. No, this is b'toch. You should sanctify me within b'nei Yisrael. What is this mitzvah? The mitzvah is in Parshas Emor, V'nikdashti, Chazal say, mesirus nefesh al Kiddush Hashem. That a person has to be willing to die for God when necessary. Kiddush Hashem. However, the pasuk doesn't say V'nikdashti. The pasuk says V'nikdashti b'soch b'nei Yisrael. What is this b'soch? Ki ikar hakedusha toch b'nei Yisrael dafka. You know where kedusha is? Kedusha is within the Jewish people. That's where the kedusha is. I want to be sanctified within them, because that's where kedusha is. The more you sanctify me, the more the kedusha goes into the Jewish people. Is that a diuk? $10,000 diuk? Chazal say in the Gemara, La'olam yireh adam atzmo kilu kadosh sharoi b'soch me'av. You have to look at yourself and you have to say there's godliness inside of me. I'm a halakiyid. Mori Rabbi Shlita tells that his grandfather, the Saba Kadisha Mitoma, used to come into the house late at night when the kinderlach, when he was a little boy and the kids were sleeping, and he didn't want to upset his son-in-law, waking up the kids in the middle of the night. He didn't like that so much, so he just sort of sneak into their room, and he would wake them up, and he would say, Kinderlach, v'darf tanzen, and he would get up, and they'd be in their pajamas, and they'd start dancing in a circle, and saying, Oy, shaloya sani goy, they're so happy, v'nikdashti, kadosh shari b'toch me'av, ashreinu matov chelkeinu manoim garaleinu, that we have this holiness inside of us. But how do you feel the holiness? Do we feel it? Omer asfat emet, וזאת הקדושה אפשר להרגיש רק על ידי מסירות נפש. Only when we are giving over our soul to God, we sacrifice, then we can feel this kedusha. We go back to the word betoch. Betoch b'nei Yisrael can also mean betoch klalos b'nei Yisrael. Where do you find kedusha? When you're mevadel yourself to Yidden. Rabbi Shlita tells of the Yortzeit was just this week. Reb David Mitolman, Netzach Shebenetzach, Chofei Ba'omer was the Yortzeit of the Heilige Reb David. So the Rebbe tells that the doctor once said, the founder of the chasidus, the father of Talmud chasidus, he died in 1882. So the doctor said, you're not allowed to go to mikveh. It's very makbid. Rebbe, Hasidim, go to mikveh. So the doctor said. So he went to a group of Jews and he stood in between them and he said, Ich teufel sich und zwischen Jiden. I'm going to be tovel. How? I just stand among Jews. And that's what makes me holy. The Nikdashti v'soch b'nei Yisrael, but tochos b'nei Yisrael, just being with Jews makes you holy. Kol be'asar shchina sharia, like the Gemara. When you're with 10 Jews, that's the Shekhinah already. It's unbelievable. And they say, and this is the epilogue to the story, that when he came out from amongst those Jews, his payas were wet. There's a little bit of a tefillah there. A little bit of a... And that's why when we daven with a minyan, we want to say a Davish Kedusha, 10 people. Because that's the Kedusha. The Kedusha is 10 Jews. Ki anhogas b'nei Yisrael l'mala min hateva. We are a nation that is supernatural. We all started with a miracle. Nimrod took Abraham, warfed him around in tanur arayin. He threw him in the oven, and he came out. That's a nace, isn't it? As our footnote points out, we're the only nation in the world. We have 2 titles. We're called Am Sridei Chorev. We just, by the skin of our teeth, we escaped from the sword. I didn't have to tell you 70 years ago. But throughout history, they're always trying to get us. What does Shweki say? Shebechol dor v'dor omdim aleinu l'chalosenu. And the person who wrote the Haggadah was a Shweki fan. I'm not as good looking as Shweki, and I'm not clean shaven, I'm not tall, I'm not Sephardi, and I'm not taking in $100,000 for a concert. I don't have as good voice. That's the only difference between us. I would be him if I would be able to sing like him. But I'm not envious of him. I wish him only bracha and atzlocha and ayin tova. He makes people simcha. What a schus. I should also be zocha to make people simcha, but I don't think it's going to be with my singing voice. In any event, we are the Am Siridei Chorev. It's not so easy always being Jewish. But we're also called the Am Medushne Oneg. We're filled with Oneg. We're Medushan Oneg. It's Am Yisrael. We're miraculous people. And we live above Teva. We do supernatural things. Umimela haTeva mizbatel ba'avuram. And Mimela, Teva, nature, is nullified before the Jews. Because if you live a supernatural existence, then there's no nature. If I may quote a man who, I submit, needed a good haircut, but still, he has some schuyos. It should be his schus. Hopefully he got his kapara and now he's in a good place. David Ben Gurion, who said that if you live in Israel and you don't believe in miracles, you're not a realist. To be a realist in Eretz Yisrael is to know we're the miraculous people. Every day our existence here is a miracle. To quote someone else, 1980, U.S. Olympic team, do you believe in miracles? Yes! And then they all threw their sticks down. I don't think that was the biggest miracle, the fact that the American hockey players, beating Russia, which was... Am Yisrael is a bigger miracle than that. All right, let's just put the Olympics aside. And that's what it means. Ani Hashem ekadishchem, hamotzi eschem eretz Mitzrayim. I took you out of Egypt, meaning I raised you above Teva. Egypt is all about supernatural. We're supernatural people. And therefore we can be moser nefesh. That's above nature. It's not natural to die for God. It's above nature. We can do that. And that's what it means. V'hotzeisi eschem. I took you out of Egypt. Meaning I put you, you're a supernatural people. And therefore you have the power to be moser yourself for Hashem. To go above nature. And the Sfas Emes concludes, K'fi ma she'adam moser nafsho l'Hashem yisbarach kach mizbatel hateva ba'avuro the more you're able to overcome your nature, the more you bring out to the world miracles. I always ask myself, you hear about these tzaddikim, and they're able to do lifesim, miracles. Where do they get the koach to do miracles? How come Elchanan Herman can't do miracles? But you hear about this Rebbe, and and the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and the Baba Sali, and you hear Baruch Hashem, Lo Chaser La'am Yisrael, Tzadikim, people through Ruach HaKodesh, people who do Movsim, Revarin Kiddush Hashem Mibels. This is a very, very long list of people, Sfardim, Ashkenazim, Chasidim, people who can do miracles. Not the average man, the great man. Where do they get that from? The answer is they're constantly mevatel their teva. They're constantly living a supernatural existence, so nature doesn't stand before them. That's the secret. And that's our job, to be mevatel their teva. Sometimes you want to eat one more piece of cake, hold back, don't eat, it's okay. Lo yikra klum. Lo yikra. If you have 500 less calories in your body, you'll be fine, I promise. I promise. It's overcoming your nature. The alarm clock goes up, you get out of bed right away instead of waiting for 10 minutes and just considering the various options. Overcoming your nature. So you want to say something, you have a good line to say, you want to put your wife in her place. Yes, they say a woman's place is in the kitchen, but not that place that you want to put her. You just want to say something. And then you hold back, you throw away the key. Toler it's al blima, because the whole world stands for people who's so same people b'shas meriva. They still, don't say, it's overcoming nature. The nature is to say. People talk today. People talk wherever they go. They talk. I'm on the bus. The phone is ringing here. The phone is ringing there. I can't control myself. Sometimes I go like this with my finger. Ken Itzik, das mille pizza, Ken. What's this talking and talking? As soon as you hold back, you don't talk. There's so many different areas in life where little things. I'm not saying that tomorrow we should all become the Baal Shem Tov, the Vilna Gaon. Little things. If we're mevatel teva a little bit, Hashem will be mevatel teva a little bit for us. Mevatel teva more, Hashem will be mevatel teva more. It all starts with small steps. It means Hashem, we should be zelche in the schus of this learning, mikoach this learning of an ikdashti b'soch b'nei Yisrael, to know that Kiddush Yishar b'soch me'av, Kiddush Yoshem Nivdal, that we're separate from the world, we're above the world, and we should be zelche to see nisim and it flows, ki meitzeischa me'eretz Mitzrayim aren and it flows, begula hashlema v'meheri, amen, amen, amen. Shalom, shalom, sweetest and most beloved friends.